No, not yet.
We in order
Not
to
yet,
now.
not yet. One, two, three.
We in order to know my people, the very people of the zone we call Kauwe. We pay our respect to the oldest person and the present. The future including anybody or person listening today. We know the ongoing contribution to the community, especially science, and the red side of this land.
Hi, I'm Vanessa from Science Alliance. Hi, Vanessa from Science Alliance, live shows, you know how it is. And that was Tess, acknowledging the Ngunnawal people, the first people of this country. I'd also like to acknowledge the first people of all lands. This is going to be recorded and sent out, and hopefully with captions, because each country has its own sign language. We have Auslan. We were happy because Molly, that's her second language. So Molly will be up here a bit later. Well, here we are at Science Alliance, and when it comes to disability empowerment and disability participation, here in Australia there's good news and there's bad news. Now, the bad news is really, really bad. Okay, we've just had a Senate inquiry, followed by a Royal Commission that's still going. Basically, the findings were that there are no adequate science programs, either formally or informally, in Australia for people with intellectual disabilities or disabilities in general. That's something that's been backed up by a lot of research. The great Emily Dawson, who I believe is tuning in today, has done research to show that science communication is extremely exclusive. Extremely. How is this the case? Well, even people with goodwill, we want to be inclusive, we want to do everything we can only do what they've been trained. And unfortunately, the majority of education training, and especially disability education training, has not changed since the 60s or 70s. We're still doing things that are mostly compliance training, but also things like errorless learning, where students are not allowed to make mistakes. We want them to only have a positive experience. And also things like ABA, which is applied behavioural analysis. So we've just come to this stalemate where there is no adequate science engagement for people with disabilities. That's the bad news. Now the good news, and the good news is really, really good, better than the bad news. The good news is that since the 1990s, scholars with disabilities themselves have been working away, putting together a huge body of research as to what we can do to be more inclusive in science. And thanks to ANU, the Australian National University, I was allowed to bring that research together and build on it. Thanks to DFAT, the Australian Department of Defence and Trade, I was able to test the steps of thinking overseas and here. Steps of thinking being the process that we put together and are going to show you today as to how we can make science more inclusive. The first person we've got up is Molly. You saw her earlier. She's our signer. There you go, Molly. Tell us something about yourself.
Hi, I'm Molly. I've had seizures ever since for a very long time.
Yeah, since infancy, really.
Yeah.
And when you say really bad seizures, that's an underestimation because they were really, really bad.
Yeah.
They were going to kill you.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And you're not dead.
No.
Excellent. Continue to live, but tell us why it is that you're not dead.
Because I had a third of my brain removed.
Massive operation to keep Molly alive. At least a third of her brain was removed. So, a third of your brain was removed. That allowed you to keep living good, right? But how were you living? What was your life like?
It was basically great until the operation.
Yeah, because what happened when they removed your brain?
Afterwards, I couldn't do nothing.
Nothing. You were alive, but only just alive, right?
Just barely.
Just barely alive. So you're doing great compared to that. What did you do to get yourself out and about?
I had to retrain my brain to walk, talk, and everything all over again.
Molly basically, even from a young age, retrained her neural pathways to do every little thing. And sometimes talking is still a bit difficult for you, but you're really good at everything else. And here's the thing that I admire the most, being severely right-handed, Molly retrained the left side of her body. She retrained her left side of her body to read, well, not read, but write. You could read before, to write. She does a lot of visual arts, particularly ceramics is your favourite, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ceramics. She does dancing. She does martial arts, experimental science, as you'll see. Molly retrained her brain. She took her brain through the one-by-one steps of thinking, and I think that's what me and Molly have in common. Not when I was young, but only 5 or so years ago, I had to retrain my body. Not because parts of my brain were taken out, but because of big chunks of my body were taken out of the important part, the middle. Oh, the top's important as well, right? Fairly important. And so we've retrained ourselves, and it's these steps of thinking that we use to practice, almost massage the neural pathways that are needed for doing science in an empowered way, so that you're doing science the way you need to, so that you own it and understand it. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now, Molly, one of the things that we talked about, these are all very positives, but one of the things we talked about that was getting you down was a negative side of doing science when you have a disability, especially with helpers. Tell us what you wanted to say, Molly. You gave me 2 hands. You said on one hand,
the workers just play on their phones and then they just ignore you.
if you've got a disability, I know you've experienced this, okay? People who are supposed to be helping you with science, they're playing on your phones, they're looking over there, they're having a drink.
Or listening to music.
Listening to music, classic, okay? That's the one hand. On the other hand,
they just treat you like a baby.
yeah. And then they end up doing things for you. We know that it's hard for us to do things, right? But that's because the brain activity that's needed to do even basic things is a lot. And we need to break those down into steps. Molly's done it by retraining her brain. I've done it by using my brain to retrain my body. It can be done, and now we're going to show you how. Let's get out the pop rocket, so-called pop rocket. You keep bringing the things over, Molly. That is a film canister. If you're in science communication or any sort of fun science, you've probably seen this experiment. We turn one of these into a rocket-like thing that goes flying onto the roof. It hits the roof, it comes down. We all are delighted because there's an explosion. Just going to do it very quickly for you right now, but I'm going to tell you the reason why I can do it really quickly is because I've done this 1,000,000 times. For someone who might have disabilities, or even if you don't have disabilities, and you haven't done this 1,000,000 times, the 4 steps that's needed for putting this pop rocket together, nearly impossible to do. Molly, do you remember last Tuesday?
Yes.
How many of us tried to do this experiment last Tuesday?
7.
There were 7 of us of various neurodiversity and also physical abilities that tried to do this. It took us 20 times before we could do it if we simply followed the instructions that are given to everyone else. And even then, none of us could do it. I couldn't do it, you couldn't do it.
No.
None of us launched this thing. We had to get Molly to go through the steps of thinking that our brains needed to be able to do this. Okay, here's how you do it if you can do it. Hands. that. Who doesn't want to do that? Of course you want to do it. I'm just saying that the process we follow to do that is different. This is the process that's given to most people. Take one film canister, open it up, put bicarb, wrong way round, live TV. Bicarb in the lid, put vinegar in the tube. Close it and turn it upside down. 4 steps, and it's so cheap. That's garbage. That cost $1, and so does that. What could be easier? It's pretty damn hard for people like myself, Molly, and anyone really that's a little bit diverse. We had to go through 20-odd steps to be able to do this.
I thought it was 14.
14 steps?
Yeah.
Good. Do you have the 14 steps?
No.
Not on you, okay? In that case, I will take off my glasses so I can't see a thing. I will use my left hand to lead. There we go. My left hand to lead. I'm going to ask you, Molly, to take me through the steps of thinking that people like you and I and Jackson and Tess and other people on neurodiverse need to do this experiment.
You need to use your right hand to hold the canister, and your left, you put your thumb in the middle, and 2 of your fingers around the groove of the lid.
Okay, so I'm finding the groove. There it is. Yep, I'm ready.
And then with your thumb, put a lot of pressure.
With my thumb pushed down.
Yeah, and then lift up with the fingers.
Thumb push down, pick up with finger. I did it, but it actually was quite forceful still, right? Yeah, thumb goes down. When you open one of these things, you have to do a lot with that one hand. It's a bit hard. If you're neurodiverse, you'll know how to do it. But all the information and the steps come into your head really quickly. It's noisy in there and confusing. Steps of thinking, Molly has slowed it down to each step, so you can go ahead and open that by yourself. But you do have to follow those steps. What now, Molly? It's open.
You need a scoopful of bicarb.
Yep.
And put it into the lid. And now clean the access.
Okay.
And even around the rim.
Okay. So I can understand cleaning the excess, but why the hell am I cleaning it around the rim?
So it doesn't pour in when you do the vinegar.
Aha. Okay, there's no excess. It's cleaned off the rim-ish. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Now what?
A drop of water.
A drop? How am I going to do a drop?
With your finger.
Oh, aha. Oh, true enough. Okay.
And put that down.
Right.
And you need to open the vinegar bottle.
Okay. Yep.
And then you do about half.
Okay. Half of that. Half of this.
Half of the vinegar into there.
Okay. So I'm only going half of this. That's like half. Is that all right if it's a little too much?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what?
You need to put the lid on really fast, really quickly, and upside down.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything really fast, really quickly, and certainly not upside down. Not with my one good hand. So how am I doing? How many hands do I need?
3.
Okay, so again, difficult to have 3 hands, so I'm going to need some help. But if you're a person who's neurodiverse and needs help, remember the other person, Molly, I'm going to need your help, is your helper. You're still in charge. You can tell your helper what to do. Molly, can you hold that thing, please?
Yeah.
So
I'll do it over your tray.
Thank you. Up a bit. Yep. So I'm going to use my good hand and my not so good hand to put the lid on really fast and really quick according to your instructions, but I'm going to ask you to turn it upside down.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I'm following 4 instructions very quickly. That is, instruction for this hand, instruction for that hand, instruction for quickness, and instruction for upside down. So instead, I'll do this. Go. Is it a fizzer? Hey! And there we have it. We thought we were going to blow it. Thomas, you doubted me. Doubted both of us. Good to have hecklers in the crowd, though. And atmosphere. Right. We still launched that thing. But I launched it. It wasn't that Molly did it for me and said, hey, neurodiverse person, watch. Molly gave me the steps of thinking in order. I might have known it in my head, but it's so chaotic in there that things need to be laid out systematically. Thanks, Molly.
You're welcome, Viv.
All right. That was Molly. And now we're going to bring on Tess. Hi, Tess.
Hey!
Tess has been on the radio. If you recognise this face or this voice, it's from, the voice is from the radio, which is Fuzzy Logic on Canberra Community Radio. And if you recognise the face, it's off Fuzzy Logic and National Science Week's Twitter, Facebook, ACT Down syndrome. Yes. Now, it's great to be able to do the actual steps. Oh, good on you, Tess. The steps of doing a science experiment, but sometimes you need more than that to actually do it as a science experiment. You need to be able to understand the science that's going on in a way that the understanding is yours. Yeah?
Yes.
Now, Tess here, there's no doubt what Tess is good at. Tess, what's your favourite science?
Thermodynamics.
Thermodynamics. Because you like the chemistry.
Yes.
And there's no doubt about that. So, Tess, I want you to roll your expertise backwards for just a second.
All right.
And go really slowly. We're going to show the people the basics of thermodynamics.
All right.
Okay, we got one glass here. Whoop, that's not happening. We've got one glass here. And we've got one glass here. This one, what does that look like to you? What can you tell me about that glass?
So, it's cold because
Jess can tell me that is a glass of cold water because she sees the ice. The ice would make it colder.
Yes.
Observation. Can someone tilt this? Now, have a look at that glass. What can you tell me about the water in that glass?
I see steam, making it hot.
You see steam and therefore it's hot.
Yes.
There we go. There we go. Much better. Yes, thank you. Now we just want to be able to see this. So we've got a glass that's got ice in it. We've got a glass that's got steam in it.
Yes.
From observation alone, you can tell me it's hot. What else can you, that the steam one is hot, that the ice one is cold? How else can you tell me if it's hot or cold? Touch it.
Okay.
Go ahead. How's it feel?
It's hot.
There you go. Touch the other one.
And cold.
Okay. So what we'll do is we will use blue for cold,
Yes.
red for hot,
Yes.
and what we're going to do is we're going to drop these food dyes into the glasses.
Yes.
No worries. And we're going to see how quickly the dye mixes into the different glasses, how quickly it goes with the blue glass and how quickly it goes with the red glass, the cold glass and the hot glass. Just one drop. 1, 2, 3, squeeze.
This.
And there we have it.
Okay.
So tell me, Tess.
So the red is red's going faster.
Yep.
And then the blues actually go slower because the ice is blocking it.
Ooh. Tessa said two things there. Firstly, her observation, the red has mixed fast. In fact, it's mixed all the way through. And the cold is going slower. But Tess has made a hypothesis, a guess there. Is the cold going slower because the ice is blocking the way? Well,
Yes.
to work that out, we have to do it with 2 more glasses. This time, no ice. Test no ice. How can you tell which one's hot, which one's cold?
Okay.
Yeah, you touch it. Well done.
That's what.
That's a hot one.
Yeah, okay. And cold.
That's cold. Okay, hot and cold. Again, red for hot. That's you this time. Blue for cold. That's me.
Yep.
And again, just 1 drop. 1, 2, 3 drop.
Okay. So the way is moving faster.
Yep.
Then blue's actually can go slower.
The blue is still mixing much slower.
Yes.
And you said you don't know why. Because the ice is out of there. So we should find out why. What's the difference between the 2 glasses? What's the difference between the water in the 2 glasses? What's this water?
I know it's hot.
Yeah, it's hot. What do you know about this water?
Wait a minute. So the blue's go slower because the cold is actually magnets.
I think you're right.
Yes.
But there's 1 more difference in each glass.
Yes.
What colour's that?
It's red.
What colour's that?
It's blue.
That's different.
Yes.
We've got to get rid of the difference in colour.
Yes.
Another 2 glasses. Touch that.
It's cold.
Cold.
And it's hot.
Hot. And this time we're going to use green for both of them.
All right.
Do we have another green? The answer may be no. Oh no, the answer is yes. That was the lovely Gemma, who we'll introduce later. You got green?
You're green.
I got green. You've got cold and I've got hot. 1, 2, 3. Just a bit.
Ooh. All right.
Even if it's green.
Oh, because then the hot glass moves faster. Then the other one is actually can go slower because the cold is magnet.
Yes, we can for sure. We can now say it was the cold.
Yes.
There's no other difference.
Yes.
So you're interested in thermodynamics.
Yes.
Basics of thermodynamics.
Yes.
If we're mixing a chemical reaction,
Yep.
if there's a hot chemical reaction and a cold chemical reaction,
Yeah.
which one goes faster?
The hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Tess.
Yay.
Tess. Yeah. All right. So can we flip it up again? Because we're going to get a very tall gentleman in. When you see all these things happening in the background, I'm just going to let you know that there's someone called Emma in the background. Emma entertains us sometimes by doing yoga that makes her look like a tree. And so we call her Emma Tree. Now, we're doing this very quickly, and there's limited time, but there'll be time for questions later. There's also time for you to make comments. If you want to tell Emma Tree anything, tell Emma Tree. It's a science pun. Okay. Jackson, you're up. We've seen Molly take us through the steps of thinking so that we can actually do the science ourselves. We've seen Tess give us the steps of thinking that's about the reasoning, going through the observation and putting ideas together so that we can understand the science for ourselves. Once you understand science, then there's more than just engagement there. There's investment. If you understand it for yourself, if you own the knowledge yourself, you can then apply it for yourself, and in ways that are beyond the science. Now, Jackson here is the oldest member of Science Lights. Is that right, Jackson?
Yes.
Since I first came to Canberra. And Jackson's going to help me with science as it's delivered in schools. Emma Tree, can we have the whiteboard, please? Now, I know we've said that science is not really adequate in schools as we have it, but we do have the training. It's just that the training is not necessarily on offered in a way that is empowering for people with disabilities. So we're now going to show you that, well, Jackson is that we don't really necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. We just need to steer the wheel in another direction. We need to steer the training away from what's good for the teachers and what helps a teacher control a class to what's good for putting information into our brains, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to bring the prompts up. If you can't see those prompts, please type in a comment, and people here, got people on either side who can help me. So these are the prompts, there we go, that people who do disability education are taught for helping people with disabilities. It's okay, I know you've got glare, and I've got someone going over to fix the glare right now. So there's basically 5 prompts of disability assistance when it comes to the education sector. Now you might know these in a different way, but they're all pretty much the same as far as their impact goes. Now those 5 prompts, if you can't see them, write in are the partial verbal prompt, the full verbal prompt, modelling the one that's most misunderstood, partial physical prompt, and the full physical prompt. Okay? Now, a partial verbal prompt is basically telling people what to do and giving them an indication of how to do it. So, Jackson, I'm going to give you a partial verbal prompt. Mm-hmm. Jackson, can you please send that helicopter onto the ceiling, keep it up on the ceiling for a while? Now, you might not be able to see the ceiling, but you're going to see this thing fly, and you're going to see when it lands as well, hopefully. Let's go, Jackson. There we go. And there it goes. And thanks for doing that. That was within visual range. That was a partial verbal prompt. Jackson needed to do something, and I gave him a prompt. Jackson, go ahead and do it. He took other cues from me you might not be able to see, so he kept it nice and low. That's a partial verbal prompt, and that's what we hope we need to stick to. Beyond that, there could be a full verbal prompt, and that was similar to what Molly had to do for me so I could get my body to do this. So, Jackson, if you pass those over for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jackson, give me the full verbal prompts for how to do this thing.
All right.
1 second, everyone. That's my service dog. She needs to go to the toilet. Emma, Tree, can you please take the dog for her? Yeah. Max, away. Max, away. So, I'll be right back. Okay. Could be worse. She could have not asked to go to the toilet. Anyway, full verbal prompts, please, Jackson. Teach me how to do this thing.
Okay. Grab the stick.
Grab the stick.
Grab blue tube.
Grab the blue tube.
Blue tube in the stick.
Blue tube into the stick.
Yeah. The pellet.
With the propeller.
See the hole in the stick.
I'll put the hole onto the stick.
Yeah. Now, inside.
Ah, the inside hole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep spinning.
Keep spinning it.
Let go.
Let go. And it spins down. Now what?
Grab blue tube.
Grab the blue
really
tube
fast.
and
pull it up.
Pull it up really fast.
Yeah.
That thing flew just fine because Jackson gave me the full verbal prompts. Now, Jackson, as I say, has been with me for a while, and he did something that hopefully you can do as well. He used the colour. If I was in any confusion as to what the hell the tube was, it's the blue tube. So he said use the blue tube. Also, use the location. Stick the hole onto the stick and let it go. I used the wrong hole at first, and he said, the middle one, the inside one. And he let me go through it. Full verbal prompts, I was able to do it. Thank you, Jackson. As we've said before, modelling is the hardest one. We're going to do modelling afterwards. Come back to me, Jackson, because I'll do the modelling afterwards.
Right.
You stay with me while you're staying with
Right.
me. Okay. Jackson, I want you to run through that again, and we're going to use partial physical help. Okay? Okay, tell me again, Jackson, so I know how to do this.
Okay. So grab the stick.
Grab the stick.
So grab blue tube.
The blue tube.
In the stick.
Okay. In the stick.
So grab the pallet.
Grab the propeller.
And see the hole in
See the hole in the middle?
the middle.
Yeah.
And then the stick.
Can I have help? And stop.
Just let it go.
Let it go. That, my friends, was a beautiful example of a partial physical prompt. I needed help because I led with my left hand, which is not good, and I was a bit shaky. And I asked Jackson for help. The partial physical help he gave was touching the propeller, not touching me. You want to not touch the person as much as possible. You want to give them autonomy and respect over their own body. But if they need help, you might have to touch the equipment. Thanks, Jackson. Now, full physical prompts. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a sad face. Full physical prompts is in your repertoire, but are we back? Asking from left to right, are we back? Can anyone see me? Not really. Got a silhouette, might still be coming.
Yep.
Are we back? Can you see me moving? And we're back. Did you see that? Did you see how the internet cut out? Even the internet doesn't want you to do full physical prompts. Because full physical prompts only should happen in case of an emergency. If it's needed for the health or safety of the student, then you give a full physical prompt. Apart from health and safety, you shouldn't be doing a full physical prompt. A full physical prompt is the physical manipulation of a person's body. Okay? So if I prompt Jackson like that, we're fine. It's a partial physical prompt. But a full physical prompt is the sort of thing that goes like this. Jackson, can you hold on to that for me?
Of course.
Could you put 2 fingers on the thing above? Not really like that, sort of. I just want, Jackson, I want you, just, do you see how awkward a full physical prompt is? Like, and sometimes parts of the body that are manipulated are not just the hands. The idea is if the person cannot physically move that part of their body dexterously enough, you move it for them. Now, if that person can't move that part of their body because of a physical impediment, they physically can't do it, there is no use manipulating their body to teach them. If they physically can't do it yet, then you moving their body does not allow them to do it. All it does is instill in them that they are a lesser person because I somehow have ownership of their body and that the task is more important than their autonomy. We don't want to give that. And that's why in the book it does say that a full physical prompt, thanks Jackson, a full physical prompt is for emergencies or for the sake of the health of the person. Right, and now on to modelling. Told you that was the hardest one, but Jackson's good at it, so come up for me, Jackson. And I'm going to use the stuff and you're going to model for me how I have to do this. Modelling is often thought of as a behavioural thing in that if Jackson's behaving badly, I have to model good behaviour and somehow by osmosis, Jackson will know what I'm trying to show him. No. What modelling is allowing for audio and visual learning at the same time. Are we on? And we're back. Look, the internet stole last time because it hates full physical prompts that are not needed. It doesn't hate modelling. It loves modelling. It hates misuse of modelling. Jackson's going to show us the right use of modelling. Jackson, model for me doing this thing. What do I do?
Grab the stick.
Grab the stick, and you can see that Jackson's doing the actions with his hand if there's any mistake about his words. Now what?
Fait que plus tube.
What do I do with this?
You put tube in the stick.
Okay.
We grab the palette.
The propeller.
Is inside the maybe hold it
So,
with the stick.
yeah,
Like
there you go.
back now.
Right.
It's a Bluetooth built really fast.
And there we have it. Modelling. Verbal instruction, verbal instruction, visual display, action mined by Jackson here, and tactile learning. Okay, that's why modelling is the most preferred form. But it's not just doing something and expecting the person to know it. It's talking and showing the person. Okay, and now we've gone through the prompts. Again, rerun. Molly gave us the steps of thinking. Tess showed us how we can use steps of thinking for reasoning. Jackson showed us how it can be used for people with diversity to help other people with diversity to actually do science. But that's not enough. There's actually more. Thank you, Jackson. We'll see you later.
No.
About these fist bumps. We're in a COVID bubble. We're in a work bubble. Take it easy, everyone. Okay, Molly, you're up. One of the things that's been discussed a lot these days, including by our chief scientist, Alan Finkel, no, you're signing in as well, is that disability education, when it's not done well, is akin to a form of colonisation. Now, look at me. I'll tell you now I'm Sri Lankan, and I support our colonised brothers, especially in Australia, our colonised brothers and sisters. Here's the thing. We're not downgrading colonisation. What we're saying is that it's the same fight. When you give someone the idea that the way they do something or the way they understand something is not good enough, and you impose your ideas onto them, even if it's so you could help them to be as good as you, the implication is they're not as good as you yet, and that the best they can hope for is to be as good as you. Here's the thing. If we genuinely believe that people with disabilities are equal, then you should believe there's a chance that they could be better. Okay? And Molly gave us, myself, a perfect example of this when I first showed her the pop rocket that we did earlier. Molly basically told me that this experiment, the one we all know and love, teachers in the house, science communicators in the house testify, we all know this one. We all call it a pop rocket, unless we're trying to be clever, in which case we call it a CO2 rocket. But Molly said, what sort of rocket is this?
Combustion engine.
This is not a rocket, said Molly. This is a combustion engine in her eyes and to her way of thinking. And let me show you why. Firstly, Molly did not, I'm going to flip this forward, because we're going to call this the Molly Smith combustion engine. From now on, no longer pop rocket, Molly Smith combustion engine. Now, it's not just enough, this is science, it's not just enough for Molly to say, that's a combustion engine. Tell me why this is a model of a combustion engine. So, carbon dioxide, vinegar, let's do this. Just doing it one more time because you can see why it's a pop rocket, but when you watch it this time, look at it with critical eyes and see why, as Molly says, it's not actually a great model of a rocket at all, to Molly's eyes. To Molly's eyes, it's a better model of a combustion engine. Let's see if it goes again. Oh, you can see why they call it a pop rocket. Let's see why Molly calls it a combustion engine. Okay, Molly, firstly, why do you not like this as a rocket? What she said were very rude words about this rocket. I like those words, but I'm not allowed to say them. Now, Molly, why is this not a good rocket?
Because there's no flames.
No flames. Where's the fun in that?
It's not constant.
Okay, there's no constant acceleration like there is in a rocket. You can see that Molly's understanding of science is already coming out in her critique. All right, no flames, not a constant acceleration. What else?
And it's not high enough.
Okay, so for Molly, even that was not high enough, and I like that thinking. Great, good critique of why that is a poor pop rocket. Tell me why I should think of it as Molly Smith's combustion engine. Firstly, don't be saying combustion engine, right? What sort of combustion engine is that?
Diesel engine.
A diesel engine. Because you see, Molly spends a lot of time talking to her pops, grandfather, mum's dad or dad's dad?
Mum's dad.
Mum's dad. And mum's dad talks to Molly a lot about engines. So Molly sees this as a model of a diesel engine. Tell me why.
Big burst of energy.
It's a big burst of energy. You know this yourselves. If you're driving and you're behind a diesel truck, especially going uphill, it's going slow, it's going slow, it's going slow, then there's a big burst when we have the combustion hitting you. All right? What else?
The fixed small cylinders.
Okay. Fixed? What do you mean by fixed?
Size doesn't
Okay.
change.
Relatively small cylinder there. Okay, what else?
The compressed gas makes an explosion.
Yeah, okay. In a regular engine, in a regular combustion engine, there's oxygen that's compressed in the pistons and fuel is introduced. Once the fuel is introduced, a spark from the battery ignites the fuel, the compressed gas, the compressed oxygen, makes an explosion. Not in a diesel engine. In a diesel engine, at the point of compressed gas, no fuel is introduced. As Molly said, it's the compressed gas that makes the explosion. And in a pop rocket, it is the compressed gas. Now, what I want you to talk to me about is the thing that really impressed me. This is why I was convinced that Molly knew what she was talking about, right?
Yeah.
What is that last little point that I love the most?
The exhaust discharge.
The exhaust discharge, sometimes in science, you're going to call it the combustion product. For mechanics, exhaust discharge. Tell me what the exhaust discharge is in this experiment.
Carbon dioxide.
And ideally, you want your diesel engine to have a combustion product, an exhaust discharge of carbon dioxide and water vapour. If your diesel engines stink or sending out stuff more than that, you need to get that gear serviced. But Molly's right. That is an excellent model of a diesel engine. And if you want to use this same experiment as a model of a combustion engine, or as an example of how different people, especially neurodiverse people, think of the world, go ahead and use it. But don't be a colonizer. This is not your diesel engine. This is Molly Smith's combustion engine. That's right. Use it as Molly Smith's combustion engine. Thanks, Molly. And there we have it. So we've gone from the steps of thinking to do things, that was Molly. We've gone to Tessa's, the steps of thinking of how to understand things. We've gone to Jackson's steps of how to peer mentor or to help other people with neurodiversity. Then we've got Molly back and showed how all of that can be given to empower different ways of thinking. We're right on time, actually, for our questions, and I heard it. So I've got people taking questions on either side. I know some of you sent questions through my private Twitter. If you did and you don't hear your question, I will answer it again, either on private Twitter, or we can make it an open conversation if it's something that you want people to engage with. And any questions that are not answered today, please keep emailing them into ACT Down Syndrome or community at ACT Down Syndrome, and we will attempt to answer them. But until then, some other questions. Emma Tree, can you please get onto the back of the board that says Molly Smith's combustion engine? If you do this, it's Molly Smith's combustion engine. Could you rub off the back so I can put up the email for ACT Down Syndrome and also the Twitter for those people? Okay, any questions? Can we enlarge that, because I am not a person who can see well? I'm going to go with the second question first, and it says, glass of water is what I'm after, and it says, I've been a teacher for 30 years and my kids are also teachers. So I've heard the term best practice for disabilities thrown around a lot. What does this really mean? If you can't answer for the world, at least for my daughter in Whyalla. Okay, we're in Australia, Whyalla's in Australia, and yeah, it seems that is something that is a worldwide problem, phrases like best practice for disability and so forth, being thrown around without a set answer. But we know what it's not, okay? Best practice is not harming the child in any way. Best practice when it comes to education is making sure that the child learns, or the student. We're all adult students here. So that the student learns, that their understanding progresses, and it's whatever that student needs to be able to progress in their learning. Often best practice has been misrepresented as what the student likes, especially in the case of disability, especially in the case of intellectual disability or neurodiversity. It's don't make the student cry, don't make the student work too hard, make sure the student gets what they like. No, your job is not to be the mother or the friend. If you're a teacher, your job is to do what the student needs to learn. They might cry, and we don't want them to cry, but if they're crying because something was hard to do and they did it anyway, then that's great. The three you saw today, and me, the four of us, we worked hard, didn't we, fellas? We cried, we had a panic attack, we had things stuffed in our ears so we could be quiet, we did our stimmy dances, right? We did all sorts of things. Whatever you need to do, but the object is not to please the student. The object is certainly not to displease the student, but the object is to do what is necessary so that things are modified, that the student actually learns for themselves. And that would be in any country. Best practice at its least level is also do not cause any physical, sexual, or emotional abuse to the child. Okay. Which comes in nicely with the next question. What's with all the cuddling and kissing? And I've got a note there, and I know this because I wrote that note, that this question was edited for bad language. And again, I love that language, but I can't use it here. There's a lot of kissing and cuddling going on in schools that targets people with disabilities, especially primary schools. The idea is that the person, the adult doing the kissing and the cuddling or tickling or over manipulation or just squeezing their cheeks, giving them a kiss on the cheek, or even saying things like, aren't you cute, or oh, I really love you, and that sort of thing. The idea is the person doing that is harmless, or that they know it's wrong, but they're just doing it anyway because it's just so cute. All of those things focus on the adult doing something that they shouldn't be doing to a student. Okay? You're not focusing on the student at all. What happens is a student then understands that at this school, the adults are the boss, and adults can kiss and cuddle me, and adults might think I'm cute, and adults might kiss me. And so in this world, it's just one more thing that alienates me. Anybody can kiss or cuddle or anything. It is also a display for the other adults in the room. You might think that you're harmless and you're not going to do anything bad. You're just going to squeeze his cheeks or something like that. But when no one intervenes, it means that some other adult is watching and they think, there's no one protecting this kid. So I agree with all the swearing in your tweet. I know who you are, you know who I am. If you want to contact me again, you can, all right? Because that is the level of distress we are. We're in a milieu where everyone thinks, oh, it's just cute. I know it's wrong, but I'll do it anyway. And that's why we're in the situation we're in now, Senate inquiry followed by a Royal Commission. No kissing and cuddling at schools or in work areas. If you're a worker, no. It's very easy. What else? Molly, come over here. A question for you. Question for Molly. What does it feel like to be a scientist?
It feels empowering.
Wow.
For the first time since I left school.
Yeah.
And whoever wants to be a scientist in science lines or wherever the road leads, I say go for it.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. What else we got? Got another one coming up. Tessa, this one's for you. Tess, Tell the people, what's your dream job? They want to know. What's your dream job?
Teaching science to little kids have science environment in them with disabilities and that.
So you want to be a science teacher?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you said something really nice there. Little kids who think they might have science in them,
Yes.
but they have disabilities and that.
Yes.
Right? You've got science in you.
Yes.
I've got science in me. And we've got disabilities in that.
Yes.
We can totally teach you. And
Yes.
Tess, you would be a great teacher.
And I will be.
And you will?
Yes.
Yeah, you will. Next question. It's very small, isn't it? Okay. Oh, here we go. Sorry, everyone. My eyes. Is there value doing experiments a few times? It seems like we all learn a lot by seeing and possibly doing things more than once. Oh, yes. I mean, controversial for people who might be on the more traditional side of science communication. Keep it entertaining, don't make it boring, don't do things repetitively. I can tell you for people like myself, and maybe for people who are not neurodiverse but are not expert in science, there is value in doing it again and again. I mean, Molly Smith's combustion engine was born of Molly doing the pop rocket experiment again and again and again, maybe 500 times in the course of a weekend.
Probably like that.
Yeah, probably like that. So that she could just physically do it. And in all that time it took her to practice to physically do it, she just kept thinking. And also she got a phone call from her pop. And this is what, there's always value in doing things more than once. There's always more to think about. Any tips for teachers to modify their teaching methods to suit the individual students when they meet for the first time? Talk to the student, talk to the parent, and see what is more conducive for the person's learning. More than that, wait. Give yourself time. Sit, watch, and observe. Hey, go through the steps of thinking yourself. Think of what it is you actually do when you open a lid, all the different steps. Think of what a student does naturally. Don't necessarily just ask them what they're good at or what they like, because they might be trained to give you an answer that they have to give. Watch and see what potential they might have as well. Parents are usually the best experts in what a child can do because they're with the child all the time, but they're not necessarily the only experts. Engage with the child themselves. There's ones for all of you. Come on up. All right, come on, Jackson. The question is, I'd like to know from all of them, right, what is your favourite thing about science, or what is your favourite science experiment? Tess, what's your favourite thing about science?
Actually, about everything. I love doing the big. No,
That's okay.
the big rockets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything but Tess loves the big rockets, and when she says big rockets, oh yes, they're very big. We can't do them inside a building. They're very big. Okay, Tess, Molly, best thing.
I guess for me, it's anything to do with physics or space.
Yep.
And for the favourite experiment, I guess it's the one that we did, I think last year, that changed the milk dye colour.
Yes, we did the acidity of different liquids. Jackson, favourite thing about science?
Oh, I think my favorite science is helicopter,
Yep.
and I used the method about explosive.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you do technology, so Jackson's good with technology, right?
Okay.
When Jackson does technology, it's not just playing on his iPod or something like that. He does play games, of course, but Jackson is very helpful. In fact, I depend on Jackson for my technology because I'm old and I like STEM junk, and Jackson is young and he's actually good at technology. There you go. That's it, we're done. Those are our questions. If anyone has further questions, let us know. And, oh, yes, I think we've got a whiteboard that we're going to put the email of ACT Down syndrome and also that Twitter thing. But keep in mind that's my private Twitter, so you could get any nonsense on there. So it's at _ capital B, capital A, small n, D, E, K, another underscore, and what's our email address here? Community at ACT DSA.org.au. And you can see from that the nice writing you had before, that wasn't me. That was our imagery. Thank you for joining us. I know how to stop this, Jackson. Please help me.
The bottle. I wish.
Yes.